Hi everyone, Tori here. Today I'm sharing my 4th scrapbooking process video and it's called You're Entirely Bonkers. Yesterday I showed a video of a project life process video of a tea time that my mom and dad and I had in Scotland. And today I'm doing the second page of that 2-page spread and it's a full 12 by 12. And I'm using this photo of my dad being goofy with his pinky finger up, and playing with the sugar cubes on the table. Yet he was being really silly. So I grabbed this patchwork paper that came in the Far Far Away Scrapbooking main kit from Studio Calico, and I'm going to use that because I had used a smaller piece of a similar pattern or the same pattern on the Project Life insert, and so I wanted the insert in the 12 by 12 page to just really go together well, and so that's why I'm using this paper. I began by cutting off a 1/2 inch strip off of 2 of the sides of the paper, and then I knew that I wanted to mat it on this, I think it's navy blue. In my haul video I called it black, but it's navy blue cardstock, and I want to use that cardstock to also mat the photo, so I'm just gutting it, which means cutting out the middle so that I can use it and I'm not wasting so much cardstock. I used my Fiskars cutting board to do that, and then I'm just finishing it off with my craft knife and taking that out. And I mat that patchwork paper on top of there, and I think it actually really makes the paper pop and sort of helps your eye from not like just falling off the page, and it sort of calms it down a little bit because that paper is crazy. I'm also going to be matting the photo with that navy blue cardstock that I gutted out of the middle of the backing. I love matting my photo. I think it just helps it look pretty, and well, I don't know if it helps it look pretty, but to me it just looks finished. Like if I don't mat my photo for some reason, I just feel like it's missing something. So I just adhere that with some adhesive, and I could use my cutting board to cut it, but I usually just like using a big pair of scissors. I don't mind if it's not perfect. It's just part of what I like to do. And so I know that I want the photo to be on the right hand side of the page, and then I'm just sort of trying to figure out what to do with the rest of the page. I want it to look like it goes with that Project Life spread, so I was taking a look at that, and I noticed that I had used a glassine bag for some layering, and so I thought, oh, I can do the same thing here. So I matted my photo again on a glassine, I don't know how you say that, bag, and then trimmed around it just to add a little bit. And then on the Project Life spread, I had used half that circle of little hearts. I thought, oh, I'm going to use that here. And I was trying to figure out how to use it, and then I got this crazy idea. I don't know where I got this from, but I decided I'd cut out all those little hearts and glue them down. So I'm going to skip ahead to where I'm cutting the last one because that took me a really long time, but I just watched a movie or YouTube videos and cut and cut and cut forever. What I'm going to end up doing is just putting those hearts aside because they're going to be one of the last things I put on the page. And now I'm going to focus on the title, and the title is actually going to be a really long quote that comes from Alice in Wonderland, because this crazy tea party that we had sort of reminded me of the crazy Mad Hatter tea party that Alice participated in the book. Oh, just while I'm talking about that, I noticed that I matted the picture one more time on some yellow polka dot paper. So I use this giant quote, and I'm going to use a ton of different letter alpha stickers, and some that came from this month's kit, but then also a ton that I just had in my stash, and it's going to look crazy. And I'm not sure I love it entirely, but I feel like it fits with the mood of the page and fits with the colorful, crazy background. So I'm going to show you all of the different ones that I use just a moment here, but I find the quote that I want online, and then I'm going to copy it, and I'm just going to sort of rotate between the different colors of alphas and letter stickers. So I will put the quote on here, and it's going to be pretty big. It's going to take up that whole left side of the paper. And the quote that I'm using is, "Have I gone mad? I'm afraid so. You're entirely bonkers, but I'll tell you a secret. All the best people are." And my dad is entirely bonkers, and he's gone mad, but he really is a great guy, and he's one of the best guys. So here I'm just showing you what some of those letter stickers are. Sorry, those black ones I don't have a name for. Most of them are coming from American Crafts, and I'm going to adhere my photo, and then I'm going to put those letters and put that giant quote on the left-hand side. I'm going to just speed up the video because this takes sort of a long time, but I'll sort of explain it as I'm going as well. I didn't really have a system to how I use the letter stickers. I just sort of went all over the place, and I tried to use colors that I thought would look good with a background. It's a little more crazy than I would normally do with a title, but there's no way I could have put this whole entire title with just one letter sticker because there's so many letters. I'd have to go out and buy a whole bunch of the same, which I don't really like doing that. And it was a great way to use up some of those alphas that maybe were like near the end, or which have been sitting in my stash forever. Now I'm using a trick I've seen by Nicole Jones 911 here on YouTube. She's amazing, by the way. So what I do is I put the word on some parchment paper that I just stole from the kitchen, and then I put it down on the parchment paper instead of sticking it down on the page. This way I can sort of rearrange them and make sure that they fit, make sure that I have enough letters, and that the whole entire quote is going to fit on the page. And then when that's done and I've made sure that it all fits and the quote works, then I'll go back and glue them down. And a lot of these letters I'm going to have to glue down with hot glue gun, just because some of those alpha stickers, especially the pink ones that you see on there and then the silver and gold, they don't stay down really well. I think they're from American Crafts, and I don't know, they drive me crazy. So I just glue them down with hot glue gun just to make sure that they'll stay and they're not going to fly off or fall off in my album, because that would drive me crazy. So then I'll be even more bonkers than I am now. So this was really a fun tea party that my mom, dad, and I had in Scotland. I mean, how crazy to have a tea party in Scotland with your parents. But it's so much fun too, right? Especially when you have a dad who's as crazy and goofy as my dad is. He was making funny faces and talking in a Scottish accent and just being silly. He he was playing with the sugar cubes here, and he had his pinky up like he was all being prim and proper, but he was playing with the sugar cubes, which was not prim and proper at all, but you know. And I was laughing so hard and giggling the whole entire time, and other people in the restaurant were looking at us like, oh my gosh, these crazy Americans. And we're not even Americans, we're Canadians, but I bet they were thinking we were American because, I don't know, they usually think that we are. So I sort of skipped ahead here and cut out the whole entire gluing part, but you can see that I've glued down all the letters, and now I'm using a really cool trick. You know how when you use your glue gun you get those like wispy spider web kind of things hanging off, and they drive some people crazy, and they drive me crazy too, but if you just take a heat gun or a hairdryer to them, it's like they just disappear. It doesn't really come off the photo that well if you get them on there, but around the letters they just sort of wisp away and makes it easy. And once I've finished that, I'm going to glue these precious little hearts all over the page that I spent a really long time cutting out. And they come in different sizes, so I'm going to mix them up and sort of mix up the colors. And they're going to start along the side of the photo and sort of fall off the page in the top right hand corner. And they're sort of perfect because they're the exact same colors as the colors that are in their patchwork behind. And then they also sort of draw this page into the other page, the Project Life page that I showed you in the beginning, because that had that little piece with hearts as well. And this is a great way to just add your own embellishments to a page, like to cut something out and then glue it onto the paper, because it's like paper on top of paper, which is just goodness on top of goodness. And I love the way that those little hearts worked out. I mean, they took me forever to cut out, but when I look at the page at the end and I see them sort of floating along the side there, I'm so glad I took the time to do it. And sometimes the things that take us the longest to do work out the best. And I'm just going to finish the page off here with some journaling. And I struggled for a little while to figure out whether I should just journal onto the patchwork pattern paper, but in the end I decided not to do that because I don't think it would show up very well. So I'm going through my Project Life cards and trying to find a journaling card that I could tuck under there. And I found this card that says "You're a Genius" on it, which I really love that card. And I'm still going to use the "You're the Genius" part. But for this particular spread, I just cut off the "You're a Genius" or "That was genius," I can't remember what it says, and just use the bottom white part with the little pink line around it. And I'm going to tuck that underneath the photo and underneath the hearts. Now some of the hearts were where I needed to tuck that, so I just used my craft knife and sort of like pick them up off of the places that I needed to put the journaling card. And then I'm going to put the journaling card down and then glue those little hearts back on afterwards. It worked out okay. I probably should have done the journaling first, but I'm just going to read to you what the journaling says. It says, "Here we are at a fancy high tea, and Dad just can't help but be goofy. He had me laughing till the last drop. He was making funny voices and using a Scottish accent. I was trying to take photos, and he made silly faces. Blah. We had a great time, though." Yep, I really did have a great time. And that's basically it. The page is done. I had fun making it. I'm not sure I love the alphas on the side, but they work really well with the picture. So I'm going to keep it. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like beside the Project Life page that I made earlier. Thanks everyone for joining me today. Have a lovely day.